Welcome on to the How to Cut It podcast. Delighted to have joining me Director of House of Colour and Salon Edge, David Campbell. David, thank you for joining us today.
Hi Dom, how's it going? Thanks very much for having me.
Pleasure, David, to have you. And we first connected back in, I'm going to try and remember this year, David. I'm sure it was around 2019.
It was.
The Irish Hair Federation?
It was indeed, sir. Yes. We were doing an event for salon owners, and you were one of our guest speakers. You were unbelievable on the day. And then, unfortunately, I had to try and follow you, which I wouldn't say went down as well with the audience. But yeah, it was a great day. Great day.
It's lovely for me to connect because I know we have a real affinity for our Irish audience. A lot of our listeners come from Ireland. Actually, Irish hairdressing, David, seems to be really developing in lots of ways. What's your take on Irish hairdressing before we get into the juicier stuff as well of starting, a new year? But yeah, what's your take on Irish hairdressing?
Yeah, I think, listen, it's extremely strong at the moment. We're facing the same difficulties that a lot of industries face. And I think that that's important. We understand that it's not just about the hairdressing industry, it's industries. But I think the likes of the Irish Hairdressers Federation, Lisa has been president. She's done an unbelievable job. Recently, she actually spoke at a rally for the VAT rate in Ireland, which was unbelievable. And we've been very lucky with our succession in the federation. I was president, then Danielle took over from me, then we had Lisa, and now we have Mark O'Keefe coming on from Brown Sugar. And I think we had a plan that we seen was a 10-year plan to hopefully revolutionise Irish hairdressing and get it on the front foot. And I have to say the guys have done an unbelievable job. And I'd fully expect Mark to smash it. But yeah. I think we're in a really good place. I think there's bags of young talent coming through. It's not without its problems and pitfalls like any business, and any industry again. But let's be perfectly honest, Dom, that's happened through time. That's not a now thing. That's an every time thing. But I do think, at the moment we're really, really, how can I put it? Aggressively happy in our approach to how things have turned out, even though we still have some battles to win.
Perfectly put. David, you come with what you do in the industry and in business is just to be applauded, really. And we were talking about that. You're so passionate about the industry as well as business. And I did give a little bit of a taster to yourself before we got to where we are. But House of Colour, Salon Edge. Give me and our listener an overview to this.
Okay, House of Colour, we are 26 years old, believe it or not. I find it hard to believe myself. We have 5 salons, 2 academies. We employ close to 80 people. We're the biggest award-winning group in the history of Irish hairdressing. We would be quite forward-thinking in everything we do. And when I say that, what I basically mean is every aspect of hairdressing we look at, and we look at how we can improve it. And I'll probably cover some of that later. We have made more mistakes than any other business in the world. I can hold my hands up to that, and I'm still making mistakes today. But during the period of running House of Colour and making all these mistakes, it's allowed me then to sort of look further afield. As president of the Irish Hairdressers Federation, I was in close contact with lots of salons around the country. I also dealt with the national apprenticeship at government level and helped form the national apprenticeship. And when I finished as president, I wanted to sort of think of a way I could help salon owners, and that led me to the Salon Edge. And the Salon Edge is a confidential business coaching platform that we basically have templates for every aspect of the business. And I have to say, Wella and Everybody associated with it has been very supportive, but most importantly, it's basically helping salon owners thrive. Now, the weird thing about it is that I've gone from hairdressing salons now into beauty, now into aesthetic salons and butchers, which is just really weird. But it's really strange dealing with all these different types of businesses that they all tend to have the same problems, and the problems generally start with structure. That because an awful lot of these businesses attract right-brained, creative people, they struggle with structure and they tend to make a lot of emotional decisions. And part of the Salon Edge and part of what we do in House of Colour is try to be very black and white about things and create a clear path for everybody.
Salon Edge, how do we find out more on this?
Okay, it's at www.salonedge.net, and then you can get it on Instagram at salonedge.net.
And I always like my listener to go away and have a look at our guests' Instagram, salons, groups. Where do they find out more on House of Colour?
House of Colour website is houseofcolour.ie. Instagram is at House of Colour. And my one is at davhoc. That's DAVHOC. And I reply to people and talk to people through it, which is weird, even though I don't put as much content on it as I should, or so I'm told.
Well, we've got to be a lot of places, haven't we? And I think, so many of us, spinning so many plates because, we have to share content in so many different ways and forms. But I love that about our industry because I think it gives it a different scope and a different direction as well. But look, again, listener, if you're whilst listening to this podcast, just go and have a little look as well. You can keep listening, scroll up and check out, because I think it's nice sometimes to put faces to people, look at their work, and you can really understand them as you listen to the podcast. But as mentioned in the introduction, today really is a podcast that we do in partnership with our friends at Wella Professionals UK and Ireland. And I think what's really important as we now go into our new year, 2025, setting new year goals, because as you said, David, there's a lot of things out there that have changed. We've got to adapt to changes, haven't we? That's how we grow. And, it's an exciting landscape out there, but you've got to make that exciting. You've got to make that work. So let's kick off really about setting new year goals, David. And how important is it for you in aligning salon goals, particularly, with your team, capabilities and market trends?
Well, it's everything for us, and we've done it from minute one. We're very lucky to have somebody like Wella Professional help us. But what I actually think is that most business owners don't understand the amount of help they can get from Wella, and they don't understand the amount of things that are there, like the Wella Red app, like the breakfast networking, like all these events that are run, that Wella can help you grow your business and align you with what's current in the industry. Now, that sounds like a very simple thing, just reaching out, but you would be amazed the amount of business owners will find themselves in a dark place and will not do that when it's readily available and Wella want to help. It's in their interest, it's in the industry's interest, and it's in the salon owner's interest if you grow. And I think that we've got to look at that relationship, and it's got to be a partnership. And I would 100% say I'm in partnership with Wella. I listen to them, and anything that they have available, I take and I use it, and I have always used it. We have set goals and set aims and targets for our team every year since 1998. Every year we sit down and we go, okay, this is where you are. Tell me where you want to be. This is going to be our aim this year. This is our target this year. This is our financial target this year. And this is where we need to grow. And then what we do is we check back in. So we will come back in monthly. We'll discuss how they're growing figures-wise. We educate them with regard to their average docket. We educate them with regard to how we can help them retain guests and grow their client base. And then we have 3 monthly assessments where we talk about, okay, personal-wise, what do you need to be earning? How do you need to grow? Where do you see yourself going direction-wise? Ultimately, the way we look at it is that the clearer the path is, the easier things become. And, you do need Wella to do that, but not to do that, but to help you in that. But also, It's about you becoming very black and white about the future. You know, one of the areas I look at in the industry, and one of the areas that I think about in the industry a lot, is recruitment. I think a lot about, do we have a clear plan for people going forward? Secondly, and I'm sure this might upset people, Dom, but every time I see somebody put a post up, "We are hiring," I think, why would you put that up? That is not attracting people to the industry.
Why do you say that, Dave? I'm jumping in there straight because I think that's a really strong point. Why should we not be putting that up?
Because it means nothing, Dom. If you go to the local Aldi or the local Lidl, and they're fantastic employers, okay? I mean, unbelievable employers, but, people would have a certain view of them because of their price point. You look at what they put up when they're recruiting. They don't start with "we are hiring." They start with, do you want to have an amazing career? Do you want to earn extra money? Do you want structured education? Do you want to have a career for life? And our industry is about a career and passion for life. The experiences you can get in the hairdressing industry cannot be touched. And it's not about expenses, and it's not about, how much cost things are. It's about opening these people up to what's available. And I think that, in a lot of ways, people seem to think that it's very segregated. And what I mean by segregated is they think, oh, well, that's only available for, salons of a certain caliber. That's not true. We started House of Colour in 1998 with 8 people on a back street in Dublin. When we started, we said we weren't going to play the radio. We were going to have televisions with MTV playing. We said we were going to have a refreshment menu with wine and Prosecco being served. We said every member of the team will never work over 35 hours, and every trainee will never work over 30 hours. Everyone said we would fail. We said we would do our training program in 2.5 years. Everyone said we would fail. We now do not recruit stylists on the outside, Dom. If you are not House of Colour trained, you can't work in House of Colour. We have a waiting list of apprentices that want to come and work with us. We have no problem recruiting because we never say we are hiring. Ever. We invite them on a journey, and the journey is about us training them as entrepreneurs. And sometimes that journey is going to end with them opening their own salons, or them going and managing other salons, or them working for amazing companies like Wella. Hats off to them. You cannot train somebody in that manner and then disregard them when they actually do what they've been trained to do.
Whoa, that's incredibly inspiring. Straight off there, David. Because we hear so much negative noise out there, and I worry about that negative noise. Yes, conversations need to be had. Yeah, can't get staff. They don't stay. They don't do this. That ain't going to help nobody. What's going to help people, David, is listening to what you do. And I know that you remain consistent with this. These aren't just words. You remain consistent. Is that because also you never lose sight of why you're doing this?
Yeah, I think, look, I would feel that when somebody joins our group, they've an obligation to us. They've an obligation to them. They've also an obligation to represent the industry. And we're big about that with our core values. And we're big about that with the type of people that we look to recruit. We have a certain type of person we look for. We have a saying in the group that if you want to qualify as a hairdresser, don't come to us. You want to qualify, go somewhere else. You want to be an entrepreneur or a rock star, you come to us. And that's what we look for. But what I do find interesting is that the industry as a whole sometimes don't represent themselves in the correct manner. And what I mean by that is that you have so much good stuff in the industry. You've so many exciting things happening. You've so many events that you can attend. You've so much education that you can avail of with the right product partner. There are so many areas you can diversify into, whether it be Fashion Week or whether it be television or whether it be film or whether it be podcasting like yourself, Dom, whether it be, becoming an educator in the Wella Academy or becoming an educator in a Salon Academy. There's all these different different things. And then there's this simplistic thing of actually making people happy day to day on the salon floor. And yet, I visit colleges, I visit salons, I do an awful lot of work pro bono where I'll go and talk to students in colleges and I show them our video, and we do a video every year. Basically, Year in the Life of House of Colour. It's a 4-minute video. It's just clips of everything our people have done for a year. And everyone in the class is blown away because they went, I didn't know we could do that.
That's right. Absolutely. Incredibly inspiring. But you've got to work down on that, David. And you lead from the top, but you're a leader. And by leading, I don't mean you're walking around shouting, bellowing at people. You lead by inspiration because you're passionate about this industry. And what's so important is people have got to go out and explore this industry, haven't they? And like you say, that relationship with Wella Professionals, it's a lot more than just incredible products and colours. It's about the community and what they can give you in pathways in the industry whilst, working, with yourselves as a salon business. Yeah, that's got to be great, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think there's an interesting quote that I heard. A fellow called Ed Milet said it. He said, "You're the result of the 5 people you spend the most time around." And I think it's really interesting that we spend a lot of time in our salons, in our workplace. We spend a lot of time, being around friends. We spend a lot of time being around partners. But we spend very little time actually thinking about whether these people have the same ambitions as us, have the same vision as us, have the same ideals as us. It doesn't mean you love them less. It just means you've got different opinions. Now, opinions I find are very interesting because I think opinions are emotional. And I think when people look at things emotionally, they're very quick to tell you what they think. But I think when you think of things factually, it becomes very black and white. So, for example, if I'm looking at the 5 people or the 5 things I want to be around the most, and then I focus on a product partner, and let's just use that as an example for a second because I'm going to segue into our teams. If I look at a product partner and I go, okay, Wella Breakfast, Wella Business Network, Wella Trend Vision, Wella App, Wella Instagram, okay? All of that combined creates a community that will allow you to bounce ideas, talk, share, and also be confidential about your goals and aims as a salon owner. But more importantly, it allows stylists to do the same, and it allows trainees to do the same. Now, Wella do that spectacularly well, okay? But that's not to say that other product companies don't do it as well. And I think if you're a business owner, your number one port of call should be, can you help? Secondly, if I look at the team and I look at, does that team represent you? In other words, if I've got somebody with me for 4 years and we've fallen out of love with each other, let's say, or it's not the same relationship, or we are getting tired of each other, I can't just give out about them. Part of that is my responsibility. Part of that is me looking at, right, what's my contribution to this relationship? When was the last time we sat down and said, has your ideas, has your ambitions, has your targets changed? What can we do to help? Can we interest you in more education? But I'm going to get into education in a second, if I can, Dom, about that.
Yeah, no, carry on.
What is the path forward for us as a partnership? Because I'm in partnership with every single person that works in House of Colour with me. And I make a commitment to them, and I ask for a small commitment back. But when they sign on and they say to me, my ambition is London Fashion Week, that's my number one aim. Or my ambition is to win the Wella Trend Vision Award, that's my number one aim for them. And that's everything we work towards. Them earning money, them graduating, them doing education, that's normal. There's nothing exceptional in any of that. That's normal. It's you creating lifetime remembering experiences. It's these people at 45 years of age or 50 years of age being able to go onto YouTube and show their children, that's me when I was 22. That's me when I was 25. That's me when I was 30. And I think once we as salon owners start to understand that if we're in partnerships with every one of these people, that will help our business grow. Now, I mentioned education there because education for me is everything. It's everything. It's from minute one, we always went above and beyond with education. And our academy setup at the moment means our trainees graduate in 2.5 years. And I will talk about that in a second, about how simplistic it is. But also it means all of our trainees receive 6 hours paid training weekly. Okay. It creates career paths for our senior team. They can become educators. But what we don't do is we don't do education for education's sake. Our industry is in danger of becoming course junkies. Now, we invented this term a long time ago, okay? About 7-8 years ago, and I'm sure you heard me talk about it before, Dom.
I have.
But I find it really interesting that this amazing, bright, intelligent, creative, passionate industry thinks that a one-day course is a solution to all the problems. They think if I go on a course or I send this person on a course and they come back, everything will be fixed. It's courses for course's sake. If you take an education plan and have a target at the end of it, it makes sense. It's black and white. But if you randomly just start sending people on courses because they're a bit fed up, that doesn't solve any problems. That creates problems because you're just feeding the problem.
How do you identify them, the right education pathway for them then, David?
Okay, well, first things first, we start with our trainees. And what we do is we have a 2.5-year training structure. And how we came up with a 2.5-year training structure is, and listen, the salons in the UK and Ireland still do this. They still believe it takes 4 years to train as a hairdresser. And what we did at the start was we went, why does it take 4 years? We questioned it. And obviously the entire industry said, well, that's just the way it is, David. And we started to look at, well, okay, so let's say if we said, how much actual education do they get in those 4 years? And what we started to find was that most salons ran their classes in the night time. They ran their classes from 6 o'clock on a Tuesday to 9 o'clock at night on a Tuesday. The trainees weren't paid for it. And it basically depended on whether the teacher was in the humour of training or not. So what we said was, well, if that's 3 hours a week over 4 years, if we could guarantee these trainees 6 hours a week, surely that would cut the time in half. Then if we added a structure to that and put checkpoints in, checkpoint at 5 months, checkpoint at 17 months, graduation at 27 months.
So what do you mean by checkpoints, David? What's
an exam? An exam, a practical exam that we can assess the trainee, that we can assess their skill level, that we can assess how they are people-wise, Dom. And I don't mean people with regard to, oh, she's very chatty or she's very nice. I mean drive, ambition, passion, industry. Because at the end of the day, we are sending people out to represent their industry. We are sending people out to represent where they've been trained. When you've worked in a house of colour and you go out and you open your own salon, and we're very lucky, we've been responsible for maybe, I'd say minimum 20 to 25 salons opening in Dublin over the past 10 to 15 years for people that have been trained by us. And we still keep in contact with them. But they'll relate to you forever, because the one question you're always asked in our industry is, where did you train? And that's PR, that's branding. That's, I mean, if I walk in Dom's salon in Cardiff and I move to London and everybody starts saying, where did you train? And you say, Dom Salon in Cardiff, Dom Salon in Cardiff, Dom Salon in Cardiff. That's PR and branding, Dom. That gets people talking about you. And that is the single biggest marketing you can do in this industry. And yet, we still relate back to the, I can't get the apprentices, I can't get them in, I put up a we are hiring sign and nobody comes. They come and they go after 5 months, and it's repeat, repeat, repeat. And I just think our industry have so many amazing salon owners and so many people who go above and beyond, and so many people who reach out and create, you know, careers and mortgages and lives and pay college fees and do all this stuff for the people they employ, and yet are caught in a cycle where they won't just press the pause button and say, okay, something has to change here.
I think when you talk about this, and it's funny actually, David, because I was talking to a client and she was referring to another stylist she'd been to, and this hairdresser had said to her that, was talking about being a hairdresser and didn't feel like they were leaving much of a legacy or they felt doing hair is doing hair. But a lot of people will differ because you're touching upon lives. But I said one of the biggest legacies, certainly from me as a hairdresser, a salon, if you said to me the biggest thing that you're probably what I could do, leave as legacy, yes, the podcast and inspiring people, but from a salon owner's point of view, it's got to be helping shape people's careers through education, through training. That's an incredible thing to leave, isn't it, in our lives, regardless of all the wealth and success and trappings of a business, but actually helping somebody direct their life from what you do and your passion.
I think it's two-folded. I think one, let's take the outside first. I think sometimes we forget the effect that we have on people's lives by employing people, by educating them how to earn money. All of our team have a very good lifestyle, Dan. Our stylists don't work more than a 35-hour week. They all take great holidays. They're all very well paid. They all work very hard for it. Nothing comes easy, and I want to be clear about that. But what's really interesting now, and we're in that phase now where we're starting to have people who want their daughters to come and work with us and want their nephews and nieces to come and work with us. And it's a huge compliment to us that we have people working with us 27 years that will want their family, our family members, to take the hairdressing path. We basically tell everybody hairdressing is the best kept secret in the world. Because you talk to everybody and they say, hairdressing, oh my God, you're on your feet all day, and oh my God, the pay is terrible. And we all laugh and go, yeah, and then they'll go outside to their brand new Mercedes, or they'll go to a 5-star gig in Ibiza, or they'll, get their 10 days in Las Vegas, and yeah, we're the worst paid, business in the world. No, we are very entrepreneurial. We basically shape futures. And one thing we ask everybody in our group, and I think everybody should ask, is, are you going to be the one? Are you going to be the one in your family that's going to change everything? Are you going to be the one that becomes the first house owner? Are you going to be the one that drives the brand new car? Are you going to be the one that gets your kids go to college? Son Christian, I have 3 kids, Christian, Cody and Carter, but Christian is the first Campbell ever to go to college. Ever. I'm the first Campbell to own a house. These are things that I'm very grateful for to the industry, but more importantly, the team are creating these things, and salon owners are creating these things. Because that stylist that only does 2 days a week beside you're the reason she got a mortgage. That kid that comes to work every day and does 40 hours and sometimes maybe doesn't get a lunch or break, she's coming every day because she believes in you, because she believes in the future that you can give her. And sometimes when you get weighed down with bills, or sometimes when you get weighed down with demands, or sometimes when you get weighed down with the humdrum of it, you forget that. You forget the effect you're having on the outside world, that kid is going to grow into a woman and is going to talk about her life experience with you for life. So make it a good one. Make it a positive one.
Well, I tell you what, if anybody needs firing up, listening to you share this with honesty, passion, empathy, leadership. Honestly, it's just what a great way to get ourselves going for this year ahead in doing these things, because, you can plan for all the success that you like, David, but what it really comes down to is you as a leader are leading by passion and direction for people's lives, and anything is possible. Anything is possible if you lead right, which you just do. But look, a lot of people will say, and you talked about Wella Professionals courses, and there is the education, and there's the workshops, and there's the courses, there's the Wella Colour Expert program. How do these factor into your planning for the year ahead for getting your team educated and inspired?
They're huge. We will, first of all, because we bring everybody through as trainees, we know their weaknesses and their strengths. We know the areas they need to improve on. We'll then liaise with Wella, and we spend a lot of time talking to them and saying, okay, what's the calendar? What's the courses that are available? Okay, we have 2 people who will suit this course, 2 people who will suit that course. We try and plan that a year in advance. We look at the Wella events. So we would make a huge sort of drive towards the Wella Transition Award. And that is very big for us. And I'll tell you the extreme we go to with this. Number one, when you're a trainee in House of Colour, you must enter the Wella Exposure Award. It's not, can I, will I? That is part of the deal. But you also got to enter the Irish Hairdressing Championships. You've got to also enter the Irish Star Team. And you also got to compete in our inter-salon competition. It's a given. Now, why do we do this? Number one, association with Wella means Wella World. Wella World means people seeing how much you can achieve in hairdressing. The one thing Wella do really, really well is they open people's eyes to what you can do. And by you attending the Wella Transition Award, or by you attending the Wella Business Network, or by you sending some of your team to the Wella Academy on courses, you are getting that firsthand. You're getting them opening their eyes and driving your business and driving your salon and making sure that everybody around feeds into that passion. Now, I send our trainees in to the Wella Exposure Award. They attend a boot camp. We prepare them and off they go. So, for example, this year, we were very lucky this year. We had 2 gold wins at the Wella Transition Award. I don't think it's ever been done before. So we won in the craft and the colour category in senior. And the 2 girls that won, Alex and Maggie, they graduated 18 months ago. They're only qualified 18 months and they won the Wella Transition Gold Award. Okay? But here's what I found really interesting. The 3 assistants who got through to the exposure final, okay, it was their first major competition they entered. One of the kids was 18. Unbelievable. And she came off that night thinking, this is what it's going to be forever. This is going to be my life forever. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I feel that it's our obligation to at least put that in front of people. And if you do that in partnership with Wella, if you strategically plan your year, in other words, okay, we have a monthly meeting where we discuss figures. How is your regulars? How many guests are you doing monthly? What's your average docket sale? What's your take? Number 2, what do we need to hit for you to earn money? That's really important. There are so many broke artists in the world. That is really important. We're creative people. We need to learn how to earn. And that's something we do from minute one. The minute they step in, we're talking about if you want to earn X, you got to do Y. Money is spoken about from minute one. Secondly, if we then can use Wella to grow and make our people thrive through the courses we select. And it doesn't have to be a lot of courses. 1 good course a year is better than 10 random courses. 1 mixing with the right educator is better than getting somebody in to sort of teach in your salon and being left disappointed at the end of the day. Every time you spend money on education, it's crucial you see a return as a business owner. Now, if you partner up with your product partner, if you use all the stuff that's there, if you have your touch points through the year, which is a 10-minute meeting once a month, sit down, how are things going? Here's your figures. This is what we need to do. This is where we need to grow. I noticed this. You can improve this area. Although awkward at the start, it starts to become habit. Habit is the thing to success. Not confidence. I don't do the confidence thing, Dom, because I think if you work hard enough at something and you learn something, you will ultimately become confident at it. If you create that habit, good habits get good results.
I've just got jaw-dropping moments listening to this, David. Wow. I mean, for me, again, I don't say this that often, David, but, when I sit here and I'm listening, and I've had the pleasure to interview amazingly inspiring people, but what you're sharing right now, I'm going to tell you, my friend, is probably some of the best stuff I've had of 7 years of podcasting.
Really? Thanks very much.
Honestly, it's just, this is lighting me up. And if it's lighting me up, I know it's lighting my listener up. because what you are sharing, I think, talks to so many people. I just want to package this up, and I just want to tour this around the college, what you're sharing here.
Maybe we should, Dom.
I'm telling you right now, maybe we should, because there's a lot here. One of the things, I'm just get back on track a bit, Dom, because, lost me a bit because I'm just so blown away on you. But we're planning, and we want to make sure that we coach and mentorship people the right way. How do we make sure that we identify the right people to put our energy in and mentor and coach?
Okay, so first things first, recruitment is key. And I sort of touched on this earlier with regard to we are hiring. Secondly, I think you need to decide on what is your salon story. What is your story? And what type of story do you sell? And I think that's really important, because every time I interview, and I'm going to tell you straight now, we have a process of interviewing where you've got to apply, you then get put on a waiting list, you then have a 15-minute Zoom call. Okay. If you pass the 15-minute Zoom call, you then have an hour and a half long interview. And I generally do the hour and a half long interview. And that interview is as much about me telling you about the journey you're about to go on as it is about finding out about the individual on the other side of the table. What I want people to think about is, what if you stopped looking to recruit on the outside and started to concentrate on the inside? How much of a game changer would that be for you? How much of a game changer would it be for you that you could create your own culture, and people throw the word culture around like it's a wet rag? You know, and when you quiz people on it, they'll tell you, oh, but I sit in the staff room and I have lunch with my team. We have a great culture. That's not culture. Culture is about installing the right attitude, the right work ethic, the right pride, the right representation into individuals so they can go into any salon in the world and stand tall. You know, we currently have people who've gone traveling, and they're working in Australia, and they're working in Canada, and they're working in all these places all over the world. And every time I check in with them, they're either managing the salon they work in, or they're the top stylist there. Because the stuff they're bringing is not about hair skill. Anybody can learn to do a long trim and layers now. You know, it's repetitive learning. But learning how to create a career, learning how to make yourself a brand, learning how to exist in an industry that is the most competitive industry in the world. Like, let's be very honest. Every 45 minutes, I think it was Alan Austin Smith said that everyone's going to tell you you're great. I'm saying that 7 minutes away, there's another salon that's looking to take your business. We have an obligation to think about, what is our salon culture? And culture is about the people you employ, and culture is about the people you grow. If I have somebody on my team and I am not growing them, what makes me think by bringing somebody else in that that's going to change things? Every relationship has a span. It doesn't matter, you know, if you're married, because you go through several different points in your relationship. You go through the start, the middle, and the end. Or it doesn't matter if you're best friends with somebody. Every relationship has a span of time. Working relationships are the same. Sometimes you got to sit opposite someone and say, this isn't working anymore. Let's shake hands and walk away from each other. Let's leave while it's good. Sometimes you can neglect the people you're working with. And look, I've been guilty of that myself. I've got to check myself sometimes and go, have I checked in with the guys? Have I had one-on-ones? You know, are we on point for their ultimate ambition? Are we moving forward? I know we push the management team to check in every month with the team to make sure they're okay. And we want them to create life experiences. That's really important. It's really important, and particularly in this day and age, because everything now with Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, and all the different aspects and cultures that you're dealing with, they all have different needs. And we need to make sure that we are aligning with their needs, because they are not going to align with our needs. No way. So by us creating a pact, by us creating targets, by us associating ourselves with the right brands, such as Wella, that allows us to create a culture in the salon of push forward, keep going, forget yesterday. Yesterday's already happened. Concentrate in the future. You cannot change the past. You can only affect the future.
A lot of our listeners, and I'm a listener listening today who's listening to this, say, great, that's great in-house. But actually, I'm struggling. Our business is not attracting new clients. That can happen. Mm-hmm. What advice could you give to marketing tips, strategies, ideas to attracting new clients to our businesses?
Okay. I mean, now this is a huge subject, and we covered this in the Salon Edge. In the Salon Edge, we've got 36 different templates that deal with all different aspects of the business. So when the salon owners come in, we go through it. But let's start with the simplistic stuff. So let's just start with your current guest base. Your current guest base. Let's hold the marketing to attract the new guests first and concentrate on the current guest base. Sometimes we are very, because we're creative and because we're right-brained and because we're very passionate about what we do, we sort of jump into things and do them for 2 months and then decide, well, I'm fed up with that. I'm going to do the next thing. It didn't work. I think the guest cycle is important. Now, what do we mean by the guest cycle? So the guest cycle is basically, if I do Dom's hair today, technically, I don't see him for 8 weeks. But realistically, I don't see him for 10 weeks. So there are certain things that I need to make sure I've done in the salon to retain the current guest base before I start thinking of growing the guest base. So things I would be asking is, number one, what's the experience like in your salon? Now, the experience can be a simple little thing that can change everything. So what do we mean by experience? What way do we answer the phone? Is there a script for answering the phone? What do we do when a guest enters the salon? What's our basin experience like? Like, I find that really interesting. You know, the basin experience is the single most looked forward to part of the whole visit. And yeah, in the majority of salons, what they do is the person sticks their head back, the assistant or the stylist will say, is the water too hot for you? Is the water too cold for you? And then they'll give them 2 scrubs and a bit of conditioner. So let me reframe that, and I'll give everyone this one for free. What if you created a basin experience that was exclusive to your salon? What if you decided that when a guest comes to the basin area, you're going to give them a cleansing shampoo for their first shampoo, you're going to give them a relaxing head massage, you're going to place a cooling eye gel mask on their eyes, you're then going to give them a 30-second hand massage, you're then going to comb the conditioning milk through their hair, tie the hair up in a towel after it's rinsed out, and escort them back to the station. Now, for 1 second, I want you to think about the impact that would have on your current guest base. And secondly, the impact that will have in your locality. Because here's what's interesting. If I decide I'm going to have a Saturday where I give out free Prosecco, and I put that out, all of a sudden I get busier. If I decide I'm going to create a basin experience, all of a sudden I get busier. If I decide that I'm going to rebook every guest and ring them 2 weeks before their appointment to collect the deposit, I'm going to get busier. And all those things are revenue related. You see, it's not about attracting new guests. It's about what's your target financially, Dom. It's easy to sit down and go, I need new guests. Are the current ones paying what they're meant to pay? Are we upselling? Are we making colour paths? Are we creating environments for them to advise them on what way they should be wearing their hair when they're going to different events? The one thing Wella do very well is they will help and advise you on all them matters. But more importantly, do you know your break-even target? Without talking about getting new guests in, what do you need to break even? How many guests do you have? What is the average docket? And what is the experience in your salon?
What about strategies that you use? You know, when we talk about colour sales, we talk about retail sales, treatments, rebooking. We could have a whole podcast on that, David.
100%, yeah. Yeah.
But is there any little nuggets of wisdom that you could just share on that?
Okay. So first things first, the team. Do we educate the team on what their target is and what they receive financially for that? That's important because every business in the world is bonus related. You know, if you work in Domino's, if you work in McDonald's, if you work in any department store, every aspect of it is bonus related. Targets are given out and you receive a bonus if you hit your target. Why should we be any different? Why should we be any different? Now, how are we helping people hit their targets? Guests come to the salon, and when they come to the salon, they want to be educated by professionals, all right? And they want to know they're in the right hands. Do we do, and this is something that I always find interesting, because I'll go, do we offer free consultations? And people go, oh yeah, 100%. And I'll say, well, do you rebook on the back of that consultation? And do you rebook for 3 visits? And then also, do you advise the guests on how to maintain their hair at home? And then also, do you do a courtesy call? What's a courtesy call? Well, we'll ring the guests a day later because the phone call only costs like 2 pence or 2, cents, wherever you're living, and check if their hair is okay. And all of a sudden, I am ahead of everybody else. Secondly, when somebody comes to the salon, all right, I need to find a way to get them back. Have I a guest gift pack? Have I a treat card? Do I rebook en bloc? Do I do all these things in the salon that's going to get guests to come back to me? Am I scripted? Now, this is about structure. What's the structure of the guest's visit? And because we're creative and because we're right-brained and because we're passionate, we think it's all about the haircut. We think the solution is the haircut. When in actuality, and let's call a spade here, there's only one way to cut one length trim, one way to cut a bob, one way to cut a firefly. There's only one way to do it. Creating an income, becoming a £3,000 a week stylist. A £3,000 a week stylist. Okay? You only have to do 6 people a day. And each of those people only have to pay €100, Dom. You don't even have to recommend colour. You can do that with a cut and treatment. And you will have your lunch and break. And you won't have to do hair at home. And you can leave at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever time you leave it. If you train your team that's a game changer. Now, the backside to that is that from a marketing perspective or from a salon owner perspective, they'll look and go, oh, well, that's easy for you to say, David. I mean, we're in a completely different position. Our team have a terrible attitude and none of them will listen to me and none of them. Change the way you're speaking to them. Change the program. Change what you want from your salon going forward. Your salon is a business. Your business is a legacy. You did not start a business to stand behind a chair 6 days a week. That's not your job. You're a business owner. If you want to be a hairdresser, go back to being a hairdresser.
Correct. It's absolutely correct. I'm heading over to Ireland as we speak. I know where I'm going to go and be part of. That's for sure. As we come towards the end, I mean, there are so many touch points that I would love to talk to you about, David, but I'm sure Wella Professionals will be really happy for us to bring you back again and to cover even more. Maybe mid-year. It might be nice, here we are at the start of a new year. Maybe at mid-year we can touch points and, assess where we're at. Some of the things that we're talking about now, I think would be a really nice idea. So I'm committing to that, all right? So we'll bring you back mid-year because we'll do it. One thing I do want to talk about, and it is really important, is it's just about trends as well, because I'm thinking about the client experience. There's new year, new trends. How important is that to the team, and how important is that for Wella Professionals with the trends that they produce? Because for me, I think that's really important when I have a relationship with a brand, is that they're keeping up with trends. Could you elaborate on that and how that works for you?
Okay, so we would be very in tune with Wella and very in tune with their 6 monthly trends and quarterly trends if they're coming out. And what that allows us to do is, number one, it allows us to educate our team through passion. At the end of the day, although we want people to be business focused, although we want them to be figures focused, although we want them to earn a good living, we also understand that they're artistic and passionate people. And I mean, I just want to say, I mean, I'm so proud of our team and the people that they're becoming. And some of them, you know, I'm looking at them and they're getting married, or they're becoming mothers, or they're starting their journey, or they're sending kids to college, and all this is fueled through passion. Now, the one thing that these trends do is they allow you to talk to another hairdresser about hair. And it's the one common ground we all have. And if I can translate that common ground into how it can benefit them financially, everything becomes really easy. Now, Wella support you so much in this. They support you so much. And it's a driver for us, not only for the team, but what it does is it allows the team to impress their guests. When guests have their consultation, they should have two options, Don. Two. They should have what they want, and they should have what you recommend they need. And then they should make a choice. And if they don't choose what you think they should need, then that should be put on their record card for the next visit. And you can relate the trends to that. There is changing trends in autumn, winter, spring, summer. That's 4 different changes of colour a year, 4 different changes of styles a year, 4 different changes of products a year that I can use through Wella Professionals to get to my guests and to get to my team. Anybody can access that. Think of the difference that will make to your salon if you're a local salon competing in a town. We did work with the Salon Edge, okay, with this salon owner, and it's confidential, so I don't mention any names. It's completely confidential. But she had a salon in a tiny little town in Ireland, population 1,500 people. It was, I mean, and she wanted to grow her business. And that was the assignment. I feel there's me and my one stylist, and I want to grow my business. And we worked on her partnership with her product supplier. We worked on her recruitment. We worked on her structure. We worked on her creating her own academy. Okay. She now has doubled her turnover. She's a team of 6 working for her. She's been able to step back from the salon floor and concentrate on hair loss and wigs with the help of Wella through Nioxin, which is brilliant for her. And for her looking back now, her looking back 15 months ago, it's like a different person. But the key was the product. Because we were able to open her up to associating with trends, associating with, you know, the marketplace in the world, associating with what consumers need, associating with what drives the industry, and then associating with the educators and the people that help you get that message across. That meant she'd a point of difference to every single other salon in our town. And there was 15 salons in the town. Done. Like, it's a busy little town. Now, how can that come all the way back around to trends? Because that is the one advantage we have over every industry in the world. We see things 6 months in advance. We see things Wella give us things, this is what's going to happen next spring. We can use that to influence our guests. We can use that to influence our culture. We can use that to influence our team. We can use that to create revenue. But we don't reach out. We miss all that. Why would you miss all that?
Going into the year 2025, some people will have challenges, David. There's no doubt about it. Some people will celebrate wins. But I think I want to just focus on addressing challenges throughout the year. For the listener who's maybe got challenges for the year ahead, what advice are you going to give to them?
Okay, I think number one, everyone has their own challenges, and everyone will have different areas that are important to them. Some people it's they can't get a team together. Some people it's paying bills. Some people it's, you know, they find that the team may have a bad attitude. Everyone will have their own issues. Number one, financially. financially, if you are pricing things correctly, if you know your targets, if you know your target for the year, if you negotiate with your landlord or with whoever you have to negotiate with, that will make you sleep easy. If you sleep easy, you have a clear head. If you have a clear head, you can make important decisions non-emotionally. So the first thing I'd say is, financially, what's your weekly target every week for your salon to break even and then make a little bit? That's really important. Okay, really important. Secondly, does my price list reflect that? Now, we are not talking about, putting ridiculous prices on things, because I don't think we're that type of industry. We're an industry that connects, where, I always say that the only two places in the world that sell happiness is Disneyland and a hair salon, okay? Because we do the whole lot. We do the image and the inside. We do the whole lot. Unbelievable. But I also think we have a fear of pricing, and we have a fear of, because we're connected to guests, I can't put the prices up. The prices need to go up. They've got to reflect what you do and your standing and your target, not what down the road is doing. I think if you do those two things first, that takes a big wedge of the year out, because you've something to work towards and you've something to work on. Secondly, team. When did I last check in with them? When did I last sit down with them? When did I last find out what their needs are? When did I last tell them what my needs are? Where we need to be? When did I last plan things for them? And planning things is not just about saying, oh yeah, you want to go on a course, go ahead. Planning things is saying, we've got an amazing course coming up in the Wella Academy. It's going to deal with advanced cutting. I'm going to get you to come back to the salon, and I want you to take our trainees through what you learned in that course. We are going to actually advertise this course out and get guests to buy into this course as well, because we're going to create a signature cut for you based on this. That sounds a lot better than, yeah, I'm sending you on a course. Thirdly, what's the long-term plan for you? You might be in a dark place now. You could be struggling now. And I can tell you now, I've helped over, between the Irish Hairdressers Federation, which I won't count that bit because that's voluntary, and we all do that voluntary. But with Salon Edge, I've helped over 35 different salons in the past 3 years. And people get into dark places. They get into dark places, Dom. And sometimes you need somebody there who's going to take you out of that dark place. And if you choose a coach, that's great. But choosing your product partner, choosing Wella, is a lot easier, because they're standing there with open arms. What's your plan for 5 years? When are you going to draw the line? When are you going to say, no one's going to mess with my dream? I had a dream when I opened this salon, and I'm going to see that dream through now. And if you're not on board, I have no problem with that, but you need to get off the boat. You do those three things, you're going to have a great year.
And our listener, what can they implement as soon as they turn off this podcast? What would you say for that?
The first thing I tell people to do, which is going to sound a bit strange when I say it because it's not very businessy, I tell them to go home at night, get an A4 page out and get a bottle of wine out. And I tell them, if you write it down, it will happen. If you build it, they will come, Dom. Feel the dreams. If you build it, they will come. Same thing. If I write it down, I action it. If I write it down when I've had a glass of wine, it means that I start to think about what I can do. If I write it down and I start crying at that moment, I get emotional at that moment, I break down at that moment, I'm dealing with it. And I know I've got to find a way out of it. The help is out there. Whether it's your national federation, the federations in the UK are unbelievable at what they do. Unbelievable. The Irish Hairdressers Federation in Ireland, the stuff that Lisa and Mark and all the committee do is outrageous. Okay? Whether it's another salon owner that you might meet in a course and you hook up with them and say, listen, I'm in a tough spot. It's reaching out to me. You DM me. I answer everybody. Or whether it's hooking up with an unbelievable product partner. You start at the lowest point. No one starts at the highest point. And even there's no such thing as the highest point. Because even when you think you're at the highest point, there's lows. Life is about highs and lows. But you got to celebrate the highs. And the lows are never as bad as you think. Number one thing you get out of this podcast is, what's your dream? Where's your dream gone? Why did you let someone take your dream away? It's like when somebody tells the kid at school that Santa Claus isn't real. How infuriated do you get? You should be the same about your business. You started that business with the dream of becoming the next Trevor Sorby or Errol Douglas or Mark Giamatti or any of these people. You didn't start thinking, sure, I'll go without weeks without paying myself. Get the dream back, stand back up, get your shoulders back, and it's time. It's time to deliver. It's time to deliver on what you need for you, and it's time to deliver for the industry. The industry is an unbelievable ball of creative, emotional, passionate talent. Unbelievable. We've a girl nominated for the Hall of Fame Award, Olive Tucker-Lee, okay? She's the only Irish girl ever to win Fame Team, Don. Ever. And I find it really interesting that when we were doing the whole process, because it was 15 years ago she'd done it, she never ever thought she was going to be the only one. Ever. And she looks back now and said, that is a crown. That's what I tell my kids. We can do that for everybody, Dom. You can do that for somebody standing in a salon in Cornwall or standing in a huge city like Liverpool or London. You can do that as an owner. You have just got to make your mark. You've got to decide, this is it. I'm drawing the line. Draw the line. Move forward. Get your dreams back.
I'm going to finish on that. I actually feel quite emotional listening to that. I've never, genuinely, it's like if I was in a changing room, ready to go out onto that pitch, that's what I need to hear. And
Thanks,
whether that's going out onto a football pitch, or it's going back into your business, or it's getting back into your career for the year ahead, that is exactly what I want to hear. David Campbell, thank you for delivering the most spectacular podcast. That honestly, it's been brilliant. I just want to say thank you again. Listener, want to connect again with David, Salon Edge, gosh, why wouldn't you? Where do we go again, David?
Okay, on Instagram you can get me at Salon Edge, at the Salon Edge, excuse me. You can get me at House of Colour. My personal one is at Dav Hock. That's at DAVHOC. And then you can check out our websites, which is www.houseofcolour.ie and www.salonedge.net.
Perfect. Look, David, thank you. It's been outstanding today.
Thanks very much, Dom. I really appreciate you having me. And yeah, it's been fantastic talking to you.